everyone. Dylan from the Smart Economy Podcast. We're nearing the end of day one at Permissionless III. We are with Rashad Haddad, the co-founder of Doggy Fi. Welcome to the pod.
Glad to be here, man.
We've been starting all these conversations off with what's your genesis and journey into crypto? Like, how did you end up in blockchain and why did you know you needed to be building here?
Long, windy story. So, back in the day, this is 2011, a buddy of mine tells me about something called the Silk Road. And he told me you can go there and buy weed. And I didn't believe him, so I go home, I download Tor browser, and I go to the Silk Road, and I see like, oh, this is real. Everything's there. And the thing that I really noticed with the Silk Road that caught my attention was everything was priced in B. And I'm like, what is B? So I took like an hour to search because like at the time there wasn't much information on Bitcoin. And it turns out that B was the symbol for Bitcoin. So I was like, okay, this is cool. And I dug it up and I was like, all right, I can make some money with Bitcoin. And I just started mining Bitcoin. I got rugged in 2014 to a project called Butterfly Labs, where I basically invested all the Bitcoin I mined into a BFL Monarch and they never shipped it. So that was my very first crypto rug. Yeah, lost 14.7 Bitcoin from that.
Wow.
But yeah, from 2014 to 2017, I didn't really do too much. I just went to some meetups to try to learn. It wasn't really till I finished grad school that I started getting more back into crypto. This is around 2020 when I moved out to Colorado. It's actually, around the time I think we first met with Cryptorado. And it was basically all of you who basically like really pushed me to like get into the space, get a job in the space. And, after 2 years of being pestered to go to ETH Denver, I finally did. In 2022, I got my first job in the space. I built a credit score called Doggy Fi. Didn't pan out, but, cool project. And then ended up building another project or helping with another project called Siren. They're an option exchange at Arbitrum, great team. And recently, I actually started my own company. So, buddy of mine, great friend, Ash, he lives out in Austin. He invited me to join the Bitcoin Startup Lab, and a bunch of like crazy smart people. Crazy in a good way, absolutely. And we were just fishing for ideas. And I go to this Twitter space one day, and I realized people doing NFTs on Dogecoin. I'm like, you can do NFTs on Doge? And so I did some digging, and it turned out all this infrastructure that people are building for ordinals can be done on Doge, and people have been kind of doing it on Doge, but it's not very good. Doge Labs kind of sucks because it's this auction thing. Doggy Market is basically a Doge Labs, but in dark theme, and then Woofy Swap didn't work. So we're like, okay, we can build a better swap, and so we built Doggy Fi.
So you're building on the Doge chain, Dogecoin chain. What do we call it?
Dogecoin. So the Elon Musk meme, not to confuse it with Doge chain, which is a separate EVM.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right. So you're building on Dogecoin, and clearly there's like some appetite for building to be happening there.
Yeah.
But you got your startup seed funding from Bitcoin Startup Labs, and possibly amongst other sort of funding solutions.
Well, not from the startup lab per se. Like they didn't invest in us directly. They made some great introductions. Actually, CMS. Those are the guys who actually led our rounds, and then through some other VCs and some angels is how we finished the pre-seed. Yeah.
So what's like the current on-chain activity like for this degenerate sort of activity? NFTs, meme coin swapping on Dogecoin.
Yeah. So it is roughly $100 million market and growing. There's two main asset categories right now. There's Doginals and DRC20s. DRC20s are a subset of Doginals because you're basically just using the standard to make tokens. It's play on ERC20 but on Doge.
Right.
And then Doginals are what you think they are. The ordinals on Doge, they're NFTs. People come together in communities all over, like Europe, US, Asia, Africa, and people just launch these collections and people buy them, people sell them. People just having fun.
Yeah, so like a lot of people might hold Doge because Elon Musk tweeted about it and the dog is cute.
Yeah.
But a lot of people might be building on Dogecoin because it's cheaper than Bitcoin, it's faster than Bitcoin, it has the same amount of length that it's been around. So who are the types of builders that you see collaborating or just building in that ecosystem?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of great builders. Like, some great people I met out in Dubai. Like, shout out to the MyDoge guys. Good friends of mine, Jordan and Alex. Really great guys. They have a fantastic wallet, MyDoge, which I really like. Some other big companies like Power Labs. They're basically building Doge OS. which is basically going to be a layer 2 on top of Doge. So people can basically use staked Doge to effectively secure compute on Power. Another great project that I really like, I met a guy called Carter with QED Protocol out in New York. And what they're doing is they're proposing like Groth 16, cross-check verify Groth 16, don't quote me on that, on Dogecoin, where basically you could do ZK proofs on Doge. So there's just so much interest right now in just scaling up the chain. Like, it's not just memes. There's like some really serious stuff going on as well.
So you would say that maybe even there's some like innovation that might trickle its way back to Bitcoin and maybe L2s or new innovation being added to that ecosystem?
Oh, there's a lot of innovation going on in Bitcoin too. I mean, you know, you got Babylon, which is basically the eigen of Bitcoin. I mean, you got Spider Chain, you got, you know, the boys over at Liquidium. I mean, there's too many new L2 projects to name, so it's coming, it's coming.
Yeah, so something that interests me is that there was a lot of intrigue into Doggy Fi, and that you guys not only went through Bitcoin Startup Labs, but you also were able to perform a raise. I think when we were talking with Kevin, you were talking about Echo. What was the kind of like raise process like for Doggy Fi, and who were the interested participants? Was it necessarily just Dogecoin people, or was it other folks outside of the ecosystem as well?
Actually, it was mostly folks outside of the ecosystem. I think, like, you know, CMS, they said we were one of the most base plays they've ever invested in. Those are their words. You know, I'm very flattered because, you know, Dan, like, he's a super smart guy. I have a lot of respect for CMS, a lot of respect for Dan. And, you know, to get that from them, I think was a major compliment. And they committed to us in 15 minutes, which I was super impressed with. So that they were basically our lead investors and effectively our largest investor. A lot of our other investors are, you know, smaller VCs. We have a few smaller VCs, some angels. Actually, Domo was also one of our angels. He's basically the guy who pioneered the BRC-20 standard. Cool. And as well, of course, we had the Echo Boys, Kobe, who basically helped us close out the rounds.
Yeah, so I've been going to the Doggy Fi website maybe once every 2 to 3 months, and it's still quite bare bones. We're yearning for more action and activity.
We have upgraded the UI, sir. we have. So we recently just, all right, this is where I get to put my dev hat on and talk a little bit real tech stuff for a second. So our original front end was built in a framework called Remix, which is basically like, you know, all the people who don't like the Vercel fanboys will say you got to use Remix. And, you know, Remix is a great open source standard for making e-commerce sites. But the problem that we had with Remix was basically everything is server-side rendered, which just makes the loading experience feel a little bit slower. And, you know, it wasn't super snappy. It wasn't everything that we really wanted. So we rebuilt our front end in a new framework called TanStack, which actually works really, really great. You get like this serverless island-based streaming of content. It is all super fast, super smooth. We relaunched our new UI about a week ago, along with the MyDoge support. So that's all out there now. New UI is pretty. Go check it out for sure.
It looks great. I was just really kind of like using this as a lead-in question to like, when launch? When can I start trading tokens?
Yes, I mean, our whitelist beta is live. Like, you can sign up for the whitelist beta. So when I say whitelist beta, it is on mainnet. I just say whitelist because I want people to know that we're still testing things and we're still making sure that it works as expected. We're gonna be launching Dune support in 2 weeks.
Cool.
And really, it's live right now. You can sign up, but yeah.
So I sign up and then I get access to a beta?
So you just go to the Discord, drop your Doge address, we'll add you to the whitelist. And, you know, as long as you read the terms of service, like, you know, it is a beta product, understand we're still building, then yeah, you're good to go.
So you actually left Colorado to go co-locate to where your co-founder is.
Yes.
What is the difference in the blockchain communities between Colorado and where you're living now?
I think there's a few differences that I would point out. I would say, like, Colorado is definitely very ETH heavy. Like, a lot of the ETH OGs, like Kevin Owocki, you know, definitely like live out in Colorado. And Colorado also has, you know, a great dev community as well. Like, there's a lot of strong devs. Like, good buddy of mine, Dan Shields, probably one of the smartest developers I've ever met. Like, these guys all live in Colorado.
Shout out Dan.
Exactly. Shout out Dan. Exactly. But like, looking at Texas, it's definitely more, I think, business oriented. You have ATX DAO, which is leading city DAO in the nation. You have Texas Blockchain Association, which is making real change in politics. And you have so many other blockchain organizations, and just meeting the people out there. There's a lot of entrepreneurial drive in Texas, which I don't want to play in the stereotype, but I think it's like the pull yourself up by the bootstraps mentality that they have out there.
Sure.
So it's definitely like a very entrepreneurial culture versus Colorado. Like it's there, but it's very more technical developer focused. So they definitely both have their strengths.
Yeah. You're a builder, you're located in the US. Dogecoin is nearing commodity network status, similar to Ethereum and Bitcoin, where it's just so decentralized that a state might not be able to shut it down. Did the sort of looming ambiguity of regulatory status of crypto and blockchain here in the US dictate which network you built on?
A little bit. If we, for example, launch on Solana right away, like I'm wearing a Solana hat, right? The problem is this thing is security. And, people like Gary Gensler, they won't give us a straightforward answer.
Right.
But they have actually given us an answer on Bitcoin where they said it's not a security, it's a commodity. So it's regulated by the CFTC. Dogecoin, being a fork of Litecoin, being a fork of Bitcoin, would likely get that same classification. So from our view, I think it's a little bit of a safer play, but I think after this election, we'll basically get some more resolution that'll let us move forward.
Yeah, and does just being a builder in the US, does just the being in limbo impact your ability to decide the future?
Dude, I spend so many hours taking nauseating conversations with legal, doing a ton of research, getting constant opinion after opinion after opinion after opinion, wondering whether or not this is okay, wondering whether I structured it correctly. And it just makes it so difficult. And by the way, not just for wondering about my business, basic things like getting a bank account, setting up payroll company, getting an institutional or a commerce crypto account so that we can basically get dollars to pay people, because devs want to be paid in dollars. Let's just be realistic.
Yeah.
Right. Doing basic things just to keep the lights on is so impossible. It's ridiculous all the hoops they make us jump through.
Yeah. So kind of zooming out, last question. I've seen you at Consensus. We didn't get to run into each other at Token 2049, but you were out in Singapore. You've been to ETH Denver. How is Permissionless stacking up to these other conferences? And are you walking away with anything that's a new or unique viewpoint as a result of Permissionless?
New and unique viewpoint as a result of Permissionless.
Or anything unique that's happened at this event?
I've learned a lot more about ABSs here. It was, for a hackathon project, I dabbled a little bit with Arbor Protocol. It was interesting to see what those guys were doing. I don't know if there's anything new. I went to the event earlier with they give a political talk. I felt like they were repeating a lot of the same points I hear on the podcasts. The event this year does feel a little bit light compared to Permissionless II last year. But there's still a good community out here. I went to a great side event earlier for the DII event. So there's definitely a lot of great people out of here, but I think still it's a good way to end the year. Just talk to a lot of smart people in a chill environment. Salt Lake is a great place.
Totally. Who do you want to talk to, and what's the best way they can reach out to you?
Who do I really want to talk to? Man. Wow, I didn't think that one through. Everyone. DC9, shout out. But no, if people want to meet, link up, just reach out to me. I'm Rashad0101 on Twitter, or you can also follow us at Doggy_Fi on Twitter, DOGGY_FI. But yeah, check out the project, give us some feedback, and yeah.
Cool, man. I appreciate your time, Rashad.
Appreciate it, Dylan.
Cheers. And if you want to catch any of the other interviews we've had here at Permissionless, head over to the Neo News Today YouTube channel to see a recording of those discussions.